Good morning, children. How are you all? Hope you are doing fine. So, in the previous lesson, we have studied about the different salts which are being absorbed by the plants and all, right? So, and all these nutrients which are absorbed by the plants are differentiated into macronutrients and the micronutrients. Whereas, if you see the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, these are the macronutrients. That means they are required in the larger quantities. But whereas when you come to the molybdenum, iron, chlorine, okay, all these are like boron, okay, these are like the micronutrients because they are required in a very less amount. Okay, so now on the screen you can see a picture where different salts are given, different nutrients are given which are absorbed by the plants. And also, if you are able to see that, if you are taking a rice crop, if you take a rice crop, if you come to page number 111 also, you can find this table over there. So you might have seen the table from the page number 111 where the different crops like rice, wheat, millet, corn, sugarcane, groundnut, okay, all these plants are grown, and their yield per hectare is also given here, and how many kgs of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are absorbed by the plants to the soil. Okay, all that information is given over there. You can just go through that information once, and just putting this slide on the screen so you can also see that particular slides and all. Okay, so now what are the nutrients which are being taken by the plants, right? Now see, we have seen that the micronutrients and the macronutrients are taken by the plants in such a way that, like, they use them and they provide us with a very good amount of food material. So now here, whatever the nutrients which are being taken by the plants, now do you think that they will come back to the soil? So the question is, will they come back to the soil? Okay, are they going to be replenished? Are they going to get renewed? So yes, the answer is yes, it's going to be replenished and it's going to be renewed, right? So for that reason, so the nutrients which are going to be replenished, right, there are the natural methods for that, and also there are some man-made efforts for that. So if you come to the nutrients, how they will replenish, right, how they will get renewed again. So now, for example, a plant dies. Naturally, a plant dies. So whatever the nutrients are there in the plant, right? So just assume that now this is a plant. It has taken very good amount of water and has prepared the food material, and that food material is in the leaves, right? And also it might contain some fruits, right? Now, unfortunately, because of the wind or because of the cyclone, okay, this particular tree falls down and will be covered by the soil. But what happens is, the parts of this plant will be degraded completely. They will be degraded, and all the nutrients which are present in the leaves and the fruits and stem and whatnot, all they will get back to the soil, isn't it? So when all these nutrients and all, like when they come back to the soil, again they will be used by some other plant which grows over there. So what are the nutrients which are being produced here, right? What are the nutrients which are being produced here? Again they will be used, right? So that is one of the thing. So sometimes the plant will be dead, right? There are some insects which will make the holes in the xylem and phloem. So what happens is that ultimately the minerals and salts, like, will not be able to reach the plants and all, or the food material will not come to the roots, and also ultimately the plant dies. So when this plant dies, when it falls down also, all the nutrients which are in the plants will be again taken by the soil. So always soil gets renewed. Soil gets renewed because it keeps on adding more and more and more nutrients to the soil. So soil never becomes like the land where there are trees and all, like that will never become a barren land. It always remains a fertile land. So this is how you can say the nutrients will get replenished in a natural way. Now coming to the man-made way, right? Even man also helps the soil to get replenished, or you can say renewed, right? For example, now if they take rotating crops, okay, if they go ahead with the crop rotation methods, right, the soil can be renewed. That's the first thing. We'll talk about that. Second one is man, like, he will be adding more and more manure to that. See, before cultivating the crops and all, like, what he will do is he will take the soil and he will go to the soil fertility center, that is the Bhusara Kendram, and then he will show the soil, and those people will test the soil, and what they will do is they will tell what are the nutrients are lacking in the soil, what are the nutrients which are present in the less percentages. For example, if they take the nitrogen, they will say that okay, the nitrogen should be some 40%, but it is only 20%. As you go for a blood test, as you go for a urine test, in the same way the soil is also be tested before growing the crop, before cultivating the crop. So what are the nutrients which are to be there in that particular soil for the growth of that particular crop? Now if they lack, if they are lacking in that, immediately what the lab report will it will get that these are the nutrients which are completely lacking in the soil, so they should be added back to the soil. That's how the farmers will take the nutrients, right? So it is in the form of the organic manure or it is in the form of the chemical fertilizers. They will add to the soil and they make the soil completely rich in nutrients so that they can grow that, they can cultivate that particular crop. Okay children, so this is how farmer will add the nutrients. That means here the man-made, these are the man-made activities, how we replenish the nutrients back to the soil. Okay, that is how nutrients are added back to the soil, right? So now, okay children, so now we will go ahead with the next topic, which is called as the crop rotation method. Crop rotation method. So now here, what is crop rotation method? What is crop rotation method? So here we can say that farmers basically what they do is they grow only one crop. Okay, right? Now this is a very common method in the olden days. They used to grow only one particular crop. They used to completely depend upon only one crop. Now here, but nowadays it's not like that. They are growing different crops in different seasons. In different seasons. So now what's happening here is, first of all, now if they go for a paddy crop this year, okay, in this season, the next crop, no, like they are going for the groundnuts or they are going from some other rabi crops and all. So they are not going for the same kind of paddy crop here. Now, what is the reason behind that? What is the reason behind that? That is what we are going to discuss now. Okay, so now here, if they are planting the paddy crop in this particular year, in this season, what happens is whatever the nutrients are there which are in the soil will be taken by this paddy plant. So those much of nutrients, no, like they will become lacking in that particular soil, they will become less in that particular soil. So there will be very meager amount of nutrients present in the soil. So if they go again for the same kind of crop, what happens is the nutrients will be less. Because of that reason, the growth of the plant will not be normal and also yield also will be very less. So what they have to go ahead is the next plant, no, like they usually go with the leguminous plants. What are leguminous plants here? Leguminous plants like groundnut plants and bean plants, they belong to the family called as Leguminaceae. That's why they are called as the leguminous plants. So these leguminous plants are very important plants because they provide nitrogen to the soil. They not only take the nutrients, okay, they take the nutrients from the soil, but they will replenish the soil, they will add the nitrogen to the soil. That's why they prefer these kind of crops, okay, and sometimes, okay, these kind of crops are grown in the next seasons, and also that the nutrients will be added back to the soil, especially when you come to the nitrogen that will be added back to the soil. So that is how they will try to rotate the crops. Okay, not only that, if you take the cereals and all, like maize or the paddy and all, like they are known to take more and more nutrients from the soil. So a lot of nutrients are taken by the paddy plants, the maize plants, which are usually called as the cereals, right? They take the more and more nutrients from the soil. So now it's really must that these kind of nutrients should be added back to the soil. So in the next season, what they do is they go ahead with the leguminous plants where some of the nutrients like nitrogen will be added back to the soil. Okay, so this method is basically called as the crop rotation method. So if you cultivate one particular crop in this year and next year if you go for the same crop, and then what happens, this growth will not be normal, it will be completely improper, right? So the yield also will be very, very less because of the lack of nutrients. Okay, children. So now what we'll do is, now what is the use of this particular crop rotation method? Now in this season we are going the paddy, and next season we are going the leguminous plants. So ultimately what happens is, you need not add the nitrogen again to the soil. So your soil will be completely nitrogen rich, and then again you need not add any kind of nitrogen to the soil, because the leguminous plants will add back the nitrogen to the soil. So that is the use of the plants, like when you go ahead with this kind of crop rotation methods. Now we'll go ahead with the another kind of method, which is called as cultivating the mixed crops. Cultivating the mixed crops. So now we'll see how the mixed crops are cultivated. Okay, so now we'll go ahead with the cultivating the mixed crops. Cultivating the mixed crops. Now what are the mixed crops? For example, if you take a land, in the land, if you grow more than one crop, then it is called as a mixed crop. If a rice paddy plant is grown apart from along with the paddy plant, if you grow another plant, okay, another crop in that, then it is called as the mixed crop. So you are mixing two different crops. Okay, so those kind of crops are usually called as the mixed crop, right? Mixed crops, there are a lot of uses with the mixed crop, because they give good profit to the farmer. At the same time, the plants which you are using, if they are leguminous plants, they add the nitrogen to the soil, so that whatever the nitrogen is being taken by the plants, which are the other crop, again the nitrogen will be replaced. Okay, so this is how the mixed crop is definitely useful to that. And also sometimes the groundnuts, when you take the groundnut plants and all, the grounds are used, and the whole plant is again mixed in the soil, and then it is plowed, so that the plants will get into the soil, and it will take some time for the next crop. So by that time they will get degraded in the soil, and they will add back the nutrients into that particular soil. So that is how mixed crops are always very good. So if you see the different mixed crops, the first one is soya. Soya is cultivated along with the pea plants crop, right? And then pea plants, they are cultivated along with the green gram. If you take the corn plants, they are cultivated along with the black gram. If it is a groundnut plant, it is cultivated with the sunflowers. And if it is sorghum, it is cultivated with the pea plant. So like this, there are many mixed crops you can take. If you go to the fields and all, and if you check there, you can find so many mixed crops over there. Not only these, but also there are several others mixed crops, and also which are mixed together, and they will give profit to the farmer, right? And apart from that, even especially pulses are usually grown with the cereals. And when you come to the short term crops and all, they are grown with the long term crops. Okay, they get the yield in the short term, whereas the long term plants, they'll take time. By the time one crop will be already will come, and that will give a profit to the farmer. And then after some time, the next long term crop will be you'll get the yield from that. So that is how these two crops, the mixed crop and two crops are there. So both of them are going to get the profit for the farmer. So if you even take the fruit plants, and especially you take the lemon plants and the pomegranates and the papaya, okay, so what they will do is, they will take a very long time for the yield, right? So if the lemons has to come, it will take a very long time. So by the time, they will grow pulses under that, right? Like especially the red gram, black gram, and the green gram are the different crops which are grown, so that they will get the profit from that. So by the time these all fruit plants and all give the fruits and all, by the time these pulses will come out, and they will give a new crop. So these are all the different examples for the mixed crops. So that is how we have learned about the crop rotation method, and also we have learned about the mixed crops, right? So I want you to write about the crop rotation and also the mixed crops and post in the group. Okay, children. So that's all for today. Have a nice day. God bless.